have Kushal Bhatnagar, who's an associate partner at Redseer, joining us on the show to talk about the consumption trend and how, which side of the fence have consumers moved when it comes to their shopping trends, when you talk about the online shopping trends. A very good afternoon to you, Kushal. Thank you so much for joining us in ET Now. And firstly, we've seen a fierce sort of a move when it comes to online shopping, but now add to the e-commerce list, you also have quick commerce that has participated in this.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
So, which side of the fence are you on? Are you seeing that the market share that the e-commerce players were enjoying all this while will be actually is under threat with this quick commerce players now also entering those domains, be it your electronics, be it your fashion, everything is available to you within 10 minutes?
Sure, no, fair point. And quick commerce, of course, I think even before the festive period was growing at almost 75 to 80% YOY growth, right? So in general, the BAU growth that it was enjoying was anyways good enough. And of course, there'll be some incremental upside in festive as well. But we see both segments doing well at this time because I think the slotted e-commerce opposed to quick commerce is still, let's say, the majority of GMV driver on online commerce in general. So almost 90 to 95% of GMV is still driven by the slotted models. Quick commerce, while the growth is stupendous, the growth is stupendous, the scale is still limited, right? So you'll still see, let's say, more GMV in terms of volumes and value being driven by the slotted e-commerce model. But yes, quick commerce will grow faster in certain categories. For example, we are seeing, let's say, categories like some of the home appliances, smaller electronics, they'll see higher traction on quick commerce. But I think at an overall level, you'll see a faster growth from the quick segment and a larger volume and value from the slotted segment in general.
All right, so that's the take on the consumption impact that we are seeing. But indeed, we have your take on the kind of a spending that we are seeing from the e-commerce market. But apart from that, help us that which segments or which categories can do well in the times ahead, because what we are seeing is that the discretionary spending is on the move, Kushal, as well as it's the rural market as well that is also showing some excitement. So within this whole space, within the whole consumption basket, any particular pockets that you wish to flag off?
Sure. I think when we talk about e-commerce, the big three categories, which is mobile, electronics, and fashion, they cover almost 75% of e-commerce, whereas the other 25% is dominated more by BPC, grocery, home, and so on. And quick commerce also largely plays in that other 25% bucket. So the 75% that is accounted for by more discretionary spends in mobile, electronics, and fashion space, I think that has been slightly muted this year. And hence there is pent up demand in the market. So festive season is where we could see some of that demand coming back and decent enough growth, which was not available in the BAU period in some of these categories like mobile, electronics, and fashion. On the other side, when you're talking about BPC and grocery, the growth has anyways been good enough in the BAU period as well. So festive will of course bring an incremental upside, but there won't be any major change or shift in how the BAU spending there has been.
All right, but also Kushal, what we are seeing is that going ahead as we kick on the festive season, there's a lot of excitement that is already building in. There will be a festive season that will also kicking in, and in this, what kind of an expectation that you have, particularly from the festive season, and which regions can participate very well? If you can give us your excitement level with respect to the rural and the urban demand that could shape up.
Sure. So I think we are, of course, seeing adoption across both ends, especially when we see in e-commerce, we look at it in terms of metro and uh, non-metro segmentation, right? So there are certain segments, particularly in fashion, beauty, and grocery, especially led by quick commerce, where we are expecting brands and platforms to go hard on the metro side. So there could be a lot of growth which could come in from the top cities there. Whereas in mobiles and electronics, I think brands are typically planning to tap into the under-penetrated non-metro or rural markets where, let's say, the appliance penetration or mobile penetration is still has a headroom to grow, right? So it will vary by categories, but yes, both segments of the society or the population will contribute to some of their growth in some form.
Right. Actually, when you talk about this entire growth that you're seeing actually demand coming from all the ends of the market right now, given the fact the accessibility that people actually have to internet services as well. So that's also contributed to the way how you've seen this rise coming in. So when you talk particularly about the category, be it the fashion or organized fashion players or for the electronics players, where are you seeing maximum demand coming from consumers? No doubt the demand is back, but which is the segment that is actually seeing maximum amount of demand right now?
So I think we are again seeing that on both ends of the spectrum. And honestly speaking, I think when we are also looking at more branded fashion, there as well we see demand in the market among, let's say, the Gen Zs and millennial customer, which have already contributed to fashion growth in some form. There, I think we are seeing significant festive interest, but also on the unbranded side, wherein you have more local sellers selling on online platforms in general, where the ticket sizes or the brand name is not very prominent. I think there as well, there is a shift towards buying, particularly in the fashion side. See, fashion as a market was slightly saw subdued demand in the last few months and quarters, and which is where I think most brands and experts are expecting some bit of pent up demand in that category. And hence, I think, particularly when you talk about verticals like ethnic wear or fusion wear, and some of the trendy fast fashion that has already been on with cohort sets, right? Some of these verticals are particularly seeing a significant traction from the consumer end. And we are seeing that on both the branded as well as the unbranded side.
All right, then, Kushal, thank you so much for joining us on ET Now to actually talk about the trend that you're seeing with regards to which side of the fence the consumers are actually going ahead and shopping this festive season. Thank you so much for putting that into context for all of our viewers. That was Kushal Bhatnagar, who's the associate partner at Red Sea, talking about the consumer pattern, especially when you talk about online shopping.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.